So the difference with our approach is that by converting the plastic back into oil, you can convert it to plastic, and this process can be repeated over and over again without a loss in quality. And that's the key difference between our approach and the current state of the art.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by EMV Capital CEO Dr. Ilian Iliev and DeepTech Recycling MD and Chief Technology Officer Marvine Besong. Ilian, Marvine, very good to speak with you. Ilian, I'll start with you. EMV Capital invests in technologies addressing large-scale global challenges with the potential to reshape entire industries. What made DeepTech Recycling stand out as a company that aligns with your venture build strategy?
Stephen, thank you very much. And for your viewers, EMV's venture build strategy is focused on companies that we see that have really strong IP position, strong technologies, often disruptive technologies in the industry, but also an opportunity for EMV to come in at a good valuation point of those companies, subsequent to which we help those businesses evolve and grow through our venture build program, both helping them source funding as well as supporting in a hands-on fashion. With DeepTech Recycling in particular, we've been familiar with the plastic waste problem for many years, and all of us as consumers and citizens are familiar with that. But what people are less familiar with is, as Marvin will lay out, is that only a small proportion of the problem is solved by current technologies. And Marvin's business proposes a solution that can vastly expand the part of the plastic problem that is resolved. But while working with Marvin and his team, we've done so in a capital efficient manner to enable the company to grow with the sort of funding that's available in the UK while internationalizing at an early stage.
Marvin, can you explain in simple terms how your technology works and how it supports the shift towards a circular plastics economy?
Stephen, thank you. It's a pleasure to speak to you again. According to the UN Environment Programme's assessment in 2025, an equivalent of more than 2,000 trucks loads of plastic are dumped into our ocean every single day. The plastic waste problem is a massive problem that needs to be addressed urgently. As most people would probably appreciate, plastic starts life as oil and gas, and it goes into a refinery and a petrochemical complex, and it's converted into this fantastic material that we know and love today. Our technology simply reverses that process and converts the plastic back into oil. And this oil can be sold back into the petrochemical sector and used to make virgin quality plastics and other chemicals. So really what that does is it transforms the plastic system from a linear value chain, which is make, use, and dispose, into a circular value chain. And this really addresses the plastic waste challenge, we think.
What sets your platform apart from traditional recycling methods, and how does it differ from other emerging technologies in this space?
As Ilian pointed out, the traditional methods today only recycle a very small proportion of plastics. And that's because plastic recycling today means mechanical recycling. That's the current state of the art. And what happens there is that the plastic is washed, it's dried, it's melted, and it's extruded into pellets. The difficulty with this approach is that it's very difficult to separate one plastic from another one efficiently. It's very difficult to wash things spotlessly, and this mechanical recycling results in degradation of the polymer. So the resulting pellet is never quite as good or quite as clean as the original pellet, and that limits the applications it can be used for, which is why you would normally hear of downcycling. For example, your ketchup bottle will return as wood replacement products, park benches, and fence panels. So the difference with our approach is that by converting the plastic back into oil, you can convert it to plastic, and this process can be repeated over and over again without a loss in quality. And that's the key difference between our approach and the current state of the art. The second thing, which is equally as important here, is that our approach to recycling can tackle a broader spectrum of plastic types and not just a limited spectrum, which is currently recycled mechanically.
As you pointed out, plastic waste continues to grow rapidly. As the challenge escalates, where do you see the strongest commercial applications for DeepTech Recycling's technology?
The single largest stream of plastic waste in today globally is packaging, and more specifically the single-use packaging. So that's where we're currently focused because that's the largest market for us. And unfortunately for us, that market is segmented into different types of plastics and polymer streams where our technology is very good. So our focus today from a commercial standpoint is on plastic packaging. Obviously, there are several other industries and sectors, medical waste, automotive, and those are things we're looking at now. But our focus today is on plastic packaging because that makes up the biggest portion. I think 40 to 45% of global plastic waste generated.
You've received multiple recognitions for your work this year. If we look ahead, what key milestones should we be watching for over the next 12 to 18 months, perhaps?
So we have a very structured strategy to market. And today we're focused on commercial deployment. And the objective of this phase is to reduce technical risk and to demonstrate commercial feasibility to the market. And how the way we're doing that is by deploying a number of commercial projects in target sectors. Over the last 20 to 24 months, we've spent quite a lot of time working really hard to build a platform of very robust commercial projects. And today I'm excited to announce that we are getting very close to reaching final investment decision on a number of these initiatives. So in the next 12 to 18 months, then the next milestones for us is to reach financial close on one or more of these projects and to launch. That would take the company to the next stage in its development, and it would signal revenues for the business.
Ilian, as DeepTech Recycling moves towards that commercial deployment, what do you see as the biggest indicators that this company can scale successfully and deliver long-term returns for investors?
Well, I mean, we have multiple indicators now. The technology is strong and it's validated by the project in Scandinavia that Marvine is developing, and the support from some of the public sector funding in there for their deployment. But what's really important for our shareholders to understand about Marvine's approach is that in line with our capital light investment strategy, the technology, know-how, IP licensing is kept at the top core level at DeepTech Recycling, and where much more funding is needed, that's done at separate vehicles, in separate companies where we partner with the final users. Going about it that way, it means that the funding for the plants that DeepTech Recycling is going to provide the equipment for is not dilutive for the shareholders. They get the benefits from revenues, they get the benefits from licensing and capital sales. It is not dilutive. It's a massive market that DeepTech's research shows that is worth several thousand plants globally. There should be one of these in every city, in every neighborhood, if you will, in terms of the volume of plastic we're developing. So the market is truly vast, but in order to capture that market, the relative quantum of funding needed for DeepTech Recycling is modest. So from our perspective as an investor, that means that should the company be successful, we're looking at substantial returns.
Ilian, Marvine, I hope you'll continue to keep us updated with your progress. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Stephen.
That's EMV Capital CEO Dr. Ilian Iliev and DeepTech Recycling MD and CTO Marvine Besong.